We are now joined by Barbara Ress, who is the author of a compelling book called Tower of Lies, What My 18 Years of Working with Donald Trump Reveals About Him. Barbara, so good to have you with us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
You worked 18 years with Donald Trump, former President Donald Trump, from when to when?
I worked from 78 to 80 as a member of the construction team for HRH Construction. And then I worked from Trump from 80 to 84, and then from 87 to 91, and then from 91 to 98 as a consultant.
But you were in a lead position as it relates to Trump Tower. You're one of the key players in the development there, right?
I was in charge of the construction of Trump Tower. I was a big piece.
I'm sorry, I'm a student of leadership. I'm fascinated by leadership traits. And listen, you don't have to go very far in the book. Do you mind if I read just a little section right on the inside sleeve? It got my attention. I'm a big fan of taking ownership for mistakes, most of which I make here on the show. This is a quote in the book. Quote, "You're making me look bad." This is President Trump talking to you at the time. "You're making me look bad with all this cheap SH, you know, the rest." Trump screamed, his face beat red with his lips white. "Who told you to buy this?" This is you now. "I showed it to you with all the other marble, and you picked this one." I said, "It was the cheapest, and it's what you said to you, so don't blame me." And then you say, "I've never seen such anger and hatred in his face. For a moment, I believed he might hit me, and I was ready to just go down." Was Donald Trump the kind of leader who took responsibility for himself, his actions, and his mistakes?
Absolutely not. Never.
What do you mean never? Of course. What do you mean never?
Whenever something went wrong, the very first thing he did was try to figure out who to blame. And then, you know, we deal with what happened.
And would there be pushback? I'm a big fan of, we do a show called Lessons in Leadership on another network, and I'm a big fan of getting honest feedback, constructive feedback. Trust me, my team doesn't hold back telling me when I screw up, how I've screwed up, and I better not screw up again. What was the culture around then developer Donald Trump?
Way back in the 80s. He had good people, really good people, myself included, but some very strong people, and they were smart, and he listened to them. He listened to us, and he yelled and everything else. But a lot of times when you had an idea that was the right thing, but you needed to get him to buy into it, you would try to work him into thinking it was his idea somehow, or you would flatter him, or whatever you did what it took to get it done. But he did listen to people, and he did change his mind.
But you also wrote in the book, and you've said publicly, I've seen you on other networks, and you've said he's, quote, changed significantly as a person and as a leader over these many years. What do you mean by that? Well,
you know, it's just the word changes, it implies that he's totally different, and he's not different. That's the point of my book, is that is what the initial Trump was, and then you watch him develop over my book and then over time. But the changes are he let everything go to his head. The first thing, the big change I said, was that he used to listen to people and pay attention, architects, engineers, me, lawyers, and now he does not do that, clearly. I mean, he'll listen to somebody like Sean Hannity or Rudy Giuliani, which is, you know, insane. But, I mean, he doesn't really, he thinks he knows everything. He has repeated it 100 times. I know more than the generals, I know more than the scientists, I know more than the doctors, and he does really think so. So he doesn't listen to anyone. So in that, he has changed. He's gotten more vicious, I think, although he was pretty vicious when I was with him. But things like, I mean, way back in 2016, when he made that horrible remark on television about women and assaulting them, I was surprised at that. I didn't think he had that in him.
What about mocking the reporter? What about mocking the reporter who had a physical disability on camera and then said I wasn't really doing that? Did that surprise you?
It did surprise me that he did it. Nor did it surprise me that he would deny it. Absolutely not. I mean, he used to make fun of people all the time. That was his big thing. As a matter of fact, in one of the new books, he talks about somebody and he calls him Fat Tony. And we had someone in that we worked with in the government that Donald called the Fat F. And that was the name he had. He didn't like fat people. He feared them. He was just turned off by them. So he was kind of mean like that.
Okay, let me try this. And by the way, there's a new book out as we do this program on the 20th of July called I Alone Can Do This. And Phil Rucker from the Washington Post and his colleague wrote it, and we're going to be bringing them in. I Alone Can Do This. It's about Donald Trump. And again, this is not here to vilify President Trump. This is to try to, former President Trump, try to understand from someone who worked closely with him the way he thinks. So as president, when you were watching what was happening, particularly during the virus, when he's in a public press conference and he turns to Dr. Birx and says, you know, you can shoot the disinfectant under the arm. And what were you thinking in that moment?
Well, it was familiar, to be honest with you. I mean, you know, he would get a ridiculous idea and he would put it forth as if it were, you know, a good idea, or he'd make a statement that was not true and put it forth as it was true. And if he could find a flunky, and he found Birx, with all due respect, she was a flunky back then, to you know, go along with him or not to correct him. Oh, you're insane, Donald, you can't do that. Doesn't surprise me at all. It's just, you know, having people think, oh, Trump's got the answers, even though they're not the answers.
What redeeming qualities does he have? I think, how about empathy?
Empathy?
Yeah, why are you making a face when I say empathy? Compassion, caring for others.
You know, in my book, I talk about a time when he actually showed kind of compassion, and it was very rare. But I think that's completely gone. I don't think he has empathy for anything or anyone.
How do you believe, as president over those 4 years, the leadership style, the personality, and the way it manifests itself, take policy out of it, again, as a leader, how do you believe it has affected our nation and the presidency?
Well, you know, I would love to say he's a terrible leader, and I do believe that in many ways, but he has got his base. And I think that the way he did that was not honestly. I think it was by firing up people and getting what letting them be what they are, which is racists and xenophobes and things like that.
By the way, do the honesty thing. He accuses others, fake news, you're a liar. You've said in your book that he lied compulsively, consistently.
You know, we used to joke about him lying about the time for practice.
What do you mean?
He lied. I mean, it was almost like he didn't have to lie. He would lie about anything at all. It didn't make a difference. You know, some things were innocuous. You know, he so lied about how many books apartments he sold or something like that. But he would lie about things that didn't matter at all. I mean, it would gain nothing for him. It was just, you know, it was like it was he couldn't resist it. He had to come out and lie. But he lied about very, very important things.
Let me ask you this. There are a lot of friends I have, a lot. And I don't mean a few, I mean a lot of friends watching right now who have said to me, you know, I love Donald Trump. He just says what's on his mind, and he speaks, quote, for us. I mean, a lot of it, and you know who you are, and it's not a criticism, it's just a fact. And I'll point out certain things that he's done, not even on policy, just in terms of how he treats people. So I get caught up on this. I'll say to our friends, many of whom are working men and women, disproportionately men, I'll say, you know, if you don't pay a contractor, if you don't pay someone for the work they did, and then say, listen, well, take me to court. I'll give you 10 cents on the dollar. I said, we're big into loyalty in the community I grew up in. Loyalty? Donald Trump?
Yeah, he doesn't care about people. I mean, and his base. I mean, he totally disdains them. He looks down on them.
What do you mean disdains them? They love him.
I know, and it's hard to, you know, when he says, I love you, and he says, I'm one of you. And I watched this all through the building of Trump Tower. He used to glad hand with the guys in the field, you know, how I'm doing, you know, what do you think? This is the greatest, blah, blah, blah. But he did it with disdain. He hated them. You know, we had a big party, and this is in my book, to celebrate the topping out of the building, which you always do, right? He didn't want to invite the men to it.
What do you mean, the men who were the people out there doing the work?
Yeah, which is what the party is for. And he said, why do I have to have them there? I said, what, are you kidding me? And then he said, well, can we limit it to just a foreman? I said, no, absolutely not. But that was his mindset. These people were unimportant to him. They were meaningless to him. Any
redeeming qualities?
No, you said before, and I didn't get a chance to answer.
None?
You know, he's quick study. I'll say that, because he doesn't concentrate. He doesn't have the ability to concentrate. He doesn't read. He doesn't listen. But when you finally get him to pay attention, he learns it pretty quickly. He's a quick study. He's a bright guy. He's not a genius by any stretch of the imagination.
Listen, we're not legal experts, but the Weisselman Weisselberg situation. Weisselberg, the chief financial person in the Trump organization?
Yes.
As we speak, facing 15 felony counts, criminal offenses, grand larceny, falsifying business records, fraud, et cetera. We don't know what's going to happen. How serious do you think this is, A, for former President Donald Trump, and B, what do you think he thinks this is about?
I think it's a big deal for Weisselberg, for sure. I think Trump would like to think it's another witch hunt, but clearly he knows that he broke the law. He knows it because he did it. And, you know, that New York Times article a couple of years ago about how they set up this thing to avoid paying any taxes for the family, that was clearly a violation of the law, and it could have been prosecuted for that. Now, with this lying about the presidency and whether he won or not, to me, and I may be the only one left on earth that says this, I think he knows he lost. And I think he knows it's all lies, and he's just promoting it because that has been his success. That has worked for him. So,
finally,
yeah.
before I go, Barbara, if you were predicting, you know his personality well, do you believe that he, in 2024, will attempt to get the Republican nomination for president again?
You know, I said no as a knee-jerk initially, and I'll tell you why. I think that he would lose. Well, right now he would lose, and I think that he couldn't withstand another loss. He wouldn't be able to do it. But I'm not sure he's going to be around in 2024. I'm not sure that he's going to have, you know, he may be in trouble with the government. His companies may have to go bankrupt. We don't know, but that, you know, he may start losing his base. And, you know, DeSantis is picking up a lot of his
down in Florida. Hey, Barbara, thank you. The book is called Tower of Lies. Barbara S. is the author. She knows Donald Trump pretty well, 18 years working with him. Hey, Barbara, all the best to you and your family. Thank you.
Thank you.